Welcome to FinScale, a podcast created by Solène Niederkorn, shedding light on innovation in finance, banking, and insurance.
Playing with the ramp, a visionary journey in crypto and fiat. Szymon Sypniewicz, CEO and co-founder of Ramp Network.
Many people would find it discouraging, but we decided to hack it. And we had this hacker mindset, and we realized, okay, so you do not want us to give access to basically what we perceive as, you do not want us to get access to your APIs. But there's this new thing called open banking. So we're going to use that because this opens up access to banks' APIs to, all registered companies. So we got registered. We got an ASP registration in Poland back in the day.
When I first heard about Ramp, two things impressed me: the use of the founders and their ability to surround themselves with senior profiles, as well as their investor and their ability to deliver in a regulated and increasingly changing environment. These startups, which already employs 160 people, provides a powerful fiat crypto toolkit that enables anyone from established brands to blockchain pioneers to easily onboard their next million users into Web3. Since 2018, they've been building and improving their core on-ramp and off-ramp products to take Web3 mainstream in a secure and compliant way, boasting an impressive track record with 40-plus fiat currencies supported, 90-plus supported crypto assets, availability in 150 countries, and $134 million in funds raised. During this discussion with Szymon, you will discover the vision they have, use cases, including that of Sorare. We also discuss clients worldwide, offices in Europe and the US, and their plans for development. Enjoy the show. Hello, everyone. Hi, Szymon.
Great to be here.
Yes, I'm really excited to talk again about Web3 again this week, and especially for you. I heard so many good feedback around Ramp Network and you in particular. I wanted to clarify for the audience that we're not discussing Ramp, but Ramp Network, because there is also a fintech called Ramp, which is solving problems around the finance automation. Yeah, maybe can we start by a very simple question? Could you please introduce yourself and tell us more about who you are and and why you decided to launch your own venture?
Oh, yeah. So I founded Ramp, and I am currently its CEO. And Ramp is a company dedicated to making onboarding to the Web3 world easy and painless, both for users, so that entering Web3 feels like completing an e-commerce purchase or signing up for a very straightforward fintech app, rather than the complicated mess that we are all very well used to. And for people building and shipping Web3-enabled applications, so that they would have one reliable partner to help them reach audiences globally. And they do that relying on our suite of banking partners and our portfolio of licenses, so that they can focus on what they do best. And some people call us Stripe for crypto or PayPal for crypto, just because we are a fintech enabler for the next wave of financial innovation, just like Stripe was one for platform-based sort of marketplaces, and PayPal was for e-commerce. Okay,
perfect. And prior to Ramp, were you studying or did you work? Because you're young. So did you have the chance?
I'm very young, but I managed to get some experience even before starting Ramp. So I studied law, and even though I never got qualified to practice law, but I worked in a couple of law firms. And then I also started Libertarian Party of Poland. And through my libertarian political views, I got interested in crypto super early on. And that got me to join a crypto startup in early 2017. It was a peer-to-peer Bitcoin-based lending platform. And part of the goal or the task at hand was to make it easy to onboard users to the product. And I just realized that many of the infrastructural bits and pieces that would enable this were at the time underdeveloped or just unavailable. And we, together with my co-founder, we identified three big issues to be resolved in that area, which were stablecoins, great wallets, and something that did not even have a proper name back then, but what we call on-ramping today, which is like an easy and approachable way for people to engage in Web3 products using the means of payments that they're used to. So cards, bank payments, alternative payment methods, e-wallets. And soon we realized that our mission working in that company would never succeed because of these big gaps in infrastructure. And we realized that, stable coins are sort of like a big issue and point of interest for many super talented people. And we knew that some of the projects are going to serve this gap in this area very well very soon. Same with wallets, although I think I think we can argue that there's still a lot to be done in the area of building better wallets. But we just realized, and we were very surprised that no one was at that time working seriously on on-ramping. We actually saw Coinbase launching a product that was close to what we imagined would be necessary and useful in onboarding users, so their widget, but they pulled back from this project. So we very quickly realized that people are optimizing for short-term gains back in 2017 were in just offering a brokerage / speculation accounts or products. So all centralized exchanges were focused on making it easy to gamble with crypto. And what we wanted to build and what we figured in the long run is going to be even more valuable is just an easy, painless way for people to engage with crypto every day, and actually to help users use Web3 products that are useful in a non-speculatory way. And this vision of enabling users to start using Web3 actually properly propelled our desire to start a company. So we thought, there's something in it, and if Web3 is going to go anywhere beyond just speculation, this piece of infrastructure just has to exist. And this is why we started building this.
Perfect. So I remember first time I heard about your companies when I was at Fabric Ventures. I went through the investment memo, quite amazed by your ages and already quite a lot of senior people around you. So we'll talk a little bit about the way you managed to build that very strong team. But prior to that, I wanted that you maybe go back to the specific needs that you identified, because you serve Web2 enterprise, Web3 games, DeFi platform, NFT marketplaces. So very different actors. What is the common pain point that you identify, and why did you select those specific specific clients?
Yeah, it's a great question. And by the way, we are looking into this question pretty much every quarter when we are planning our product development, and it evolves over the time. But the principles are very simple and remain the same. The fundamental issue at hand is that Web3 is meant to solve everyday problems in a very casual setting. And so the expectation of users is that it should be plain and simple. It should be one click. It should feel like buying something in an e-commerce shop. However, the nature of Web3 is that these are assets. And so there are regulatory requirements that are more like around traditional brokerages. There are fraud risks that are less like e-commerce and more like around sophisticated financial products. And also there is a lot of complexity around this. So there's a big mismatch between the need for simplicity and quite complex nature of the technology and of the assets that people deal with. And to bridge it, there is a need for a very sophisticated set of tools and capabilities. And so from clear and simple UI through simple payment methods to fulfilling regulatory requirements that are quite onerous in a way that feels plain and simple for end users, and is also instant to use, right? So many players back in the day and still today believe that onboarding process for new users that takes, like hours or even days is fine because we're dealing with a financial quasi-investment product. But we believe that for Web3 to reach its full potential, actually dealing with Web3 products should feel like a breeze. And so for us, a flow that takes even minutes is too long, right? So our KPI for how long it should take for a returning user to buy or sell through Ramp is below 30 seconds, which gives you an idea of how big is sort of this gap of how the industry operates now and how we think it should operate to achieve its full potential. And it's quite a complicated task to bridge this gap in a way that inspires trust, is regulatorily compliant, and at the same time makes it very, very simple for our partners to plug in this capability through their products.
And how did you build your team? Because I said in the beginning that you already have a lot of senior people in your team. And from the beginning, I was amazed to see all these senior people with a 10, 15, 20 years background in compliance, regulation. And I believe hiring those people, even though you already had great investors, such, if I remember correctly, Balderton or Fabric Ventures or NFX, what did you sell to them to hire them? And can you please explain to the audience, because they are not aware of this, who is a part of your team currently?
Yeah, so as you mentioned, my team consists of people with plenty of experience, ranging from traditional financial institutions through some of the biggest traditional fintechs, to like people who were working in like investment banks, so very traditional, very regulated environments, many of them. And so it's very hard to find people who have this sort of experience and at the same time can work at the pace of a startup and understand an entirely new space and basically not just come in to help maintain the status quo, but actually come in as shakers, changers, shapers. So how we recruit is we are looking for people who have this experience, but at the same time feel inspired. And many of them, if not most of them, are inspired because they're obviously super sharp and super smart. And many of them are fascinated by crypto. But there's still this big gap where people coming from traditional backgrounds look at this and sort of like have this initial notion that crypto is just a waste of time. And all of it is just gambling and not very useful, even though there are so many things that in principle make sense and could make a big difference, right? So I think many of them got interested in Ramp because of this dissonance. Their thinking goes like, it's so powerful, yet it feels, to us at first glance, it feels useless. And so when they hear about Ramp, to many people, it just becomes immediately clear that we are on a mission to bridge that gap as well. Because what we want to make possible is to use Web3 to solve all these issues that we talk about, and apply Web3 in ways that is truly helpful. And that many people find very inspiring. I'll tell you a story. So I spent, I think, 11 months looking for a killer chief people officer, because I think that every organization, every elite organization is a little bit like an elite sports team, and elite sports teams need a great manager, of course, but also a great coach. And then it was quite hard to find the right person. And the guy who we ended up hiring, Taz, told me that he specifically instructed the recruiter who was working for us and also was sort of like working with him to help him find his next big opportunity, that he does not want to work with crypto, right? So like he said, hey, just don't bother, don't waste my time. I'm not interested in joining any crypto company, right? And like at some point, that recruiter said to him, yeah, but like you really need to speak to Szymon. It's Ramp is a crypto company, but at the same time, I think you're going to love it because they are nothing like the things that you dislike about crypto. So I think this is a good story that sort of illustrates how these people end up finding Ramp and get inspired by what we try to achieve. So to them, through Ramp, all of it can suddenly start making sense, right? And we are trying to bring sense to the industry, but also to unlock things that people can get genuinely excited about.
Great. Congrats. It's always so difficult to hire great profiles with seniority in that space.
And there is also a second profile. So there are many people who are like crypto natives and obsessed about crypto and spend parts of their careers working in crypto. These are typically people who are young rising stars and not people with loads of experience yet, because this industry is so young, right? There's barely enough time to really become a seasoned, executive or manager, just entirely within this space. But there are many people who have, relatively speaking, a lot of experience in this space, and what they get excited about is namely the fact that they take front row seat looking at what's happening in Web3, because we work with many crypto-enabled products teams, even at the super early pre-product stages, right? So they come to us and say, hey, what we try to launch is this, and we really want to make it very easy to use for people who are not into crypto, right? We want to use crypto to solve their problem, but these are not crypto audiences, right? And then we start working with these teams, and we can see how their products and projects unfold. And many people find it very exciting because they see something very real. They can see things that are launched to mainstream audiences, and they can see it from the very inception before broader audience can even take notice.
Okay, so if we talk more about the product now and what you've launched, I would be interested to know how you started. I mean, what was the beginning on the platform? What kind of product you launched first? What kind of tokens were available? And and how did you develop your first features? Did you perform some integrations? Did you develop many things internally?
Yeah, so the way we started was we called a couple of banks and a couple of payment services companies, and we asked them, hey, like, can we plug into your products? Can we get a bank account? Can you start processing car payments for us? And what we heard back in 2017 was no way. And many people would find it discouraging, but we decided to hack it. And we had this hacker mindset, and we realized, okay, so you do not want us to give access to basically what we perceived as, you do not want us to get access to your APIs. There's this new thing called open banking. So we're going to use that because this opens up access to banks' APIs to all registered companies. So we got registered. We got an ASP registration in Poland back in the day. And we built a product that was Ethereum only, a couple of Ethereum tokens. Basically, we picked tokens that we liked. So ETH, Maker, DAI, USDC, then later, I think. And build a system that was purely peer-to-peer. So the payment flow never touched our accounts. There was an escrow account that was a smart contract created by liquidity providers who were keen to earn money on facilitating transactions by making their liquidity available. And money, so your euro, your pounds, would flow straight from the buyer, so any ordinary person that would want to buy crypto, straight to the seller. So someone willing to sell crypto. So it was an automated, local cryptos or Paxful kind of peer-to-peer system, and we built it out of necessity because nobody would allow us to build a centralized version. And then we thought that it's also great because maybe by this way it would become more scalable. It would be easier for us to scale across different countries, and we were very optimistic about the pace open banking technologies developing around the world. Overly optimistic. And so the world evolved in a way that surprised us a little bit. So our assumptions proved wrong. First of all, getting access to our own accounts and processing capabilities of acquirers and e-wallets and banks opened up to us much sooner than we thought. And at the same time, open banking spread much slower than we anticipated. And so we shifted the technology and the platform model to reflect that with time. So we quickly adjusted, and now we touch the money, right? And we are licensed or registered, and we the money flows through our own accounts. So it changed. But at the very beginning, just to give it a go, we had to be very creative. So maybe it was a little bit of an over-engineered solution to the problem, but it was the only one available back in the day. And at the same time, we felt very strongly about the ethos of building something that is composable and smart contract based and less reliant on banks in facilitating transactions. But then also new regulations meant that pretty much all of the advantages of building this way disappeared. And at the same time, new opportunities emerged. So we seized these opportunities and got licensed. And we operate now in a model that is much more streamlined and at the same time centralized.
How did it happen? If you go back to the AISP open banking license that you were mentioning, wasn't it too difficult? It was back 4 years ago or 5 years ago that you got it. I mean, it was not the same maturity for the regulators. So how did it happen when you presented your case? And did you have a lot of concerns, a lot of questions? And how long did it take in the end?
So it didn't take that long. I think it was just a couple of months, but we had to do some legwork to educate the regulator because crypto was still very new and our model was even more of a novelty to them. Polish regulator was very open and they were very kind to work with us, even though they had a lot of work sort of processing AISP registration applications for more traditional players. I think we did a very good job in presenting our case and making sure that regulatory requirements would be fulfilled because we got our registration very fast, very quickly, even compared to much more sort of traditional companies applying much more typical models, business models, and using these AISP capabilities in much more sort of expected ways. And yeah, I think it took us a little bit before we understood that one of the things that makes Web3 very special is that when you ship your Web3 enabled products, your product is by definition global from day one. And you want to have a global partner because working with not even dozens, but like even working with a couple of partners is a big work stream. And if you're trying to be lean, innovate fast, you just want to have one global partner. And I think this is something that we should have learned from the fintech stories of PSPs serving global audiences, right? And like the story of Adyen and Stripe, in some sense also PayPal. So they also had to sort of deliver on the promise of a single partner that caters to global needs of businesses they power. And so when we realized that, we also already knew that the regulatory landscape is shifting in a way that this purely open banking based, smart contract based model is not going to be the winning model. So we pivoted quite quickly to a fully licensed, registered sort of model where that resembles a little bit more on the back end what say Coinbase is doing. And we started expanding very vigorously, starting from expanding to the entirety of Europe and then to the US. And now we serve customers in more than 160 countries and territories. And we have a couple of licenses and registrations, and we are expanding that even more. And also we have a new expansion model where in some countries we choose to work with local licensed entities with their own access to banking rails. And so everything is white label, and end users would not notice any difference to our self-powered flow in the UI. Right? Obviously, in terms of service would resemble it, and the payment flow is different, but to the end user it looks the same. And so the promise to our partner is a single API endpoint to access billions of potential users of your app. And so this also reflects the reality that still, I hope that it's going to change very soon, but still many Web3 use cases are only available to relatively sophisticated users. Not so much as a couple of years ago. And we think that we played a big role in sort of like lowering the bar for people to come and try Web3 enabled products, but it's still a fairly narrow pool of potential users. And what this means is that Web3 businesses have to be global, because if the user pool is narrow, your geographical scope has to be broad to make a compelling business case. And then we realized that actually this is one of the biggest value propositions we should and have to deliver to our partners. So globally available and locally connected is part of our strategy that we pursue right now. So it should feel like something, something streamlined and very well known and familiar to end users. But to our partners, it should be just one API call to make the transaction possible.
We have just a few minutes left before we close the discussion. Can you say a few words about Sorare? Because Sorare, it's an old business case because it's already a few years that you've been working with them. So can you please tell us how it happened? How did they get in contact with you? And what in the end did you develop for them?
Yeah. So we got in touch through Fabric and Seedcamp, I think. And their problem was that they were not able to find a partner who would be easy enough to use for their use case that is very casual, and their aspirations are to reach the mainstream. Their persona is not a crypto user per se. Their persona is someone who is excited about football, like more broadly about sports, and would like to sort of play a game inspired by popular sports and popular football teams. And so that was one of their issues. And the second one was that back in the day, it was still, Starkware was still a pretty new technology, and they were not able to find a partner who would be easy to use and would be able to support Starkware technology. And it was very easy for us to help them because our technology is not just designed to be easy to use for developers to add and for users to interact and buy and sell, but also to be easy for us to add new capabilities. So it was very easy for us to just add Starkware as a technology that we could work with and to help users move money in and out of Starkware. And this is really what sealed the deal. And so we are helping users of Sorare moving crypto in and out of the game. And now we're talking about some new exciting developments moving forward because as the regulatory landscape is shifting, also the requirements towards Sorare are evolving, and to keep everything super easy and streamlined and Sorare compliant, we're discussing some more opportunities for the future.
Cool. So what are your next steps?
With Sorare, I can say, but more broadly,
for the rest.
Tell you, more broadly, I can tell you that there are a couple of very exciting work streams for this year. One is a very big product launch, and so I won't spill the beans, but it is going to make moving in and out of crypto even easier for people globally. And this is something that we want to launch with at least one very large partner So fingers crossed that would be ready in Q3 or Q4 this year. A very big development is going to change how we interact with Web3 altogether. Secondly, we are continuing to expand. So we believe we are going to become the first player to offer full US coverage, all 50 states plus DC. And so this is something very hard to achieve, but we believe that maybe even this quarter, we are going to roll out support for all 50 states, which is very exciting. And a lot of our partners ask for this because it's very confusing for US users that, they are used to full coverage, right? Whatever fintech you would use, it would typically be available throughout the states. But for crypto products, it's not so easy, not so obvious. But again, it's another gap to be bridged. And we are great at bridging gaps. And so this is the goal for this quarter. And also we are improving local payment method availability. And we're going to very aggressively roll out a plethora of different alternative payment methods across the world. From a European or Anglo-Saxon point of view, it's very easy to see payments online as card-dominated business, but more than half of the internet's population prefers payment methods that are not cards, right? And so to bridge this gap, one needs a big partner that can basically build out a platform with access to dozens of different payment methods all across the world. And so obviously doing that is also quite a complex regulatory challenge, which again, we specialize in. So very exciting opportunity. Our partners and users are very excited about this as well, because it's very easy to use if you hold a Visa or MasterCard card today. But we also offer some APMs in many countries already, and people are stoked to be able to use them and want to offer this opportunity to billions of users all across the world. And then we are also launching dozens of improvements that are going to make it even easier and faster to use Ramp. And I'll just give you an example. This week we are launching verification in Brazil with no ID. So you'll be able to basically perform a simple liveliness check, so a face scan, and input your local identification number, and through the government database, we'll be able to confirm your ID. This is the way of confirming your ID identity that you prefer, right? So for many users, it's not natural to carry a passport or even a driving license at all times with you. And many users just want to perform transactions casually. And so this is what we want to enable them to do. And there are dozens of such schemes all around the world. It's a new growing trend. Verifying your identity with no ID is definitely the way to go. And by the end of this decade, this is going to become a new normal. And for us, this is a big opportunity because it makes the entire flow even more smooth for new users. And again, for the returning users, you would never need to do that again, right? You can reuse your Ramp account wherever you are. So it's a one-time affair. However, even that has to take seconds and not minutes or hours.
Wow. Impressive. Congrats. Szymon, to conclude, could you please recommend us a book or a podcast that inspires you?
It's such a cliche, but a book that keeps inspiring me is 0 to 1. I know that Peter Thiel is quite controversial, but I think it's just the lessons about shaping your competitive landscape and how to quickly iterate and how to build a great company culture are timeless. And I believe it helped us make Ramp what it is today. So I reread it maybe every year. And I can still find new gems every time I reread it.
Really? You read it?
Especially that PayPal is such a similar story, right? To me, it feels, I have so many aha moments where I realized that they faced similar challenges in the past. And it's always great to learn on mistakes and successes of others rather than on your own.
Okay, thank you very much, Szymon. That was very, very interesting. And congratulations for everything that you built with your team. See you soon.
Thank you, and see you soon. It was great to be here.
Thank you all for listening and sharing this moment with us. Don't hesitate to contact me on Twitter or LinkedIn to share your comments and reactions. You can also rate this episode on your favorite podcast platform. See you soon.